In this video, I'll be re-ranking every mining pet in Hypixel Skyblock. I initially ranked every mining pet a month ago as my first ranking video on my channel, and I got a ton of feedback on my ranking, and so I listened to that feedback and drastically changed my list. I also added a pet that you'll see soon, and removed Crow because it recently got changed to only buff combat. I apologize for not posting for a while, as the summer has been very chaotic for me. As always, I will not be including pet items unless it's a pet specific item, and all the pets are assumed to be max level and rarity. I think that's enough for this intro, and enjoy the video. At dead last, number 14, I have the Precursor drone. At this point, I despise this pet. Fortunately, it's the last time I'm ranking this pet for the foreseeable future. This pet is useless outside fishing, and it still ranks low in fishing anyway. For mining, it just gives an enchanted item every now and then, which, it seems okay, but why would you ever use this pet over a different one? This pet is super cool because it does give a perk for 3 major skills, but the fact that 2 of the perks are useless and you have to use a tier boost for a max pet score, just get me out at this point. I freaking hate this pet. At number 13 is the bee pet. I forgot to include this pet in my initial ranking, so I'm adding this pet to this list. For mining, it just grants 40 fortune at mythic rarity. This isn't great at all, but it is better than Precursor drone. I do think the bee pet is pretty cool and a very well designed pet for early game because getting that 30 or 40 fortune for 3 skills goes a long way in the early game. At number 12 is a Silverfish pet. Don't get me wrong, this pet is very useful early game to rod swap when collecting commissions or to collect minions, but this pet doesn't get much use and quickly becomes absolutely irrelevant after you max a skill. Sure, it takes a bit to max mining, which is like the second fastest behind farming in the 3 main skills, but every other pet is more useful. At number 11, I have the Mammoth pet. This pet is a combat pet and only gives combat stats, but it's used in mining, specifically mine shafts, where you use an auto pet rule to have it out when killing glacial mobs, so you don't lose any cold when getting hit by them. This may seem like quality of life only, but not getting that extra cold will allow you to stay in a shaft for way longer and get way more coins, especially if it's a Jasper shaft. Though it's very useful, and in my opinion a must-have pet, it isn't as good as the next 10 pets. At number 10, I have the Goblin pet. I initially had this at number 5, but now it's at number 10, and you'll see why later on, when I rank other pets. This is the only dedicated ore mining pet, and it's the best pet for mining in the Mines of Devon, obviously because it gives 2 perks for it. Goblin is only used for gold mining, which is a necessary part of the game, for Golden Dragon obviously, and it does make decent money. And getting more Goblin eggs on Iron Man could be extremely useful considering how much you need. I do think they need to make another ore mining pet, which can be used in different parts of mining in the game. At number 9 is a Snail pet. This isn't really going to change from my last ranking, however it does have a few notable uses I want to mention. It is the second best pet to use for gemstone powder grinding because of its whopping 400 block spread, which is insane. It also is the best pet to mine mycelium and red sand for whenever you need to mine that. This pet is pretty good, but the other pets are just better. At number 8 is the Endermite. I was not aware about 2 things when I made my last ranking, and so I now bumped Endermite up a few spots. Of course, it is the best and only pet to hold out when using the Draconic Altar because of its mythic perk. It's also of course the best pet for Endermite bestiary. However, I'm now aware that it doubles endstone rates because of its first perk, assuming you didn't use a pet beforehand. And this pet is used for getting on the leaderboard in Spooky Festival because of how many Endermites you can spawn. This pet makes endstone mining a good money making method for Iron Man and helps with Spooky Festivals. I do want to note that the daily commuter perk doesn't make any sense and it needs to get changed. Because who is actually using this pet to lower the cost of transmission abilities? It's kind of weird. At number 7 is the Armadillo. This is a huge step up because originally I had it second to last because I only thought it was used for powder grinding, but still that was bad. Armadillo has a few uses I forgot to mention though. It's used for Skaithen mining where you need the block spread and don't want to reduce your speed from Snail pet. It's also used for Jungle Temple skip, which I thought got patched, but for some reason it's actually still in the game. 2 uses I think it's slept on for is early game or Iron Man mining fiestas for Glacis and early game or Iron Man shafting. This is a very versatile pet and requires education to know everything about, and luckily I know that now because of you guys. At number 6 is surprisingly the Kudra pet. Not surprising for me, but surprising for you I bet. I had this pet at last place in my last ranking, and somehow I forgot that all the perks were passive. That immensely changes how this pet is ranked. This pet gives 100 fortune on the Crimson Isle passively. If it wasn't passive, then it's easily second to last place, behind Precursor Joan, of course. I hate that pet. But since you don't need this pet out, and you can use a different one like Skyblock or Snail on top of the 100 fortune, then this pet deserves to rank high. It doesn't rank any higher because the other 5 pets are a best in slot pet and very useful for mining, but I can't rank Kudra low because you can't go wrong with a passive 100 fortune. And number 5 is a mole pet. This is definitely the most unique mining pet, since it reduces the automaton part grind and can get you to the alloy quicker. On a normal profile, it's a similar story, but the automaton perk is pretty useless since you can just buy the parts. This pet definitely deserves top 5 because it gives you more chances to get a good job from a crystal nucleus run and reduces the grind down to be faster. And number 4 is a Mythril Golem. This pet is higher on this list than last time, mainly because of its combat perk. The combat perk is actually really good only for Iron Man though. And when I say good, I mean tremendous. It can allow you to quickly be able to ghost grind without a super good setup. Other than the combat perk, it does give you more powder, and I did underestimate the Mythril powder grind before, but now I realize it does take a while. This also is the best pet for mining Mythril, especially before you get something like a Skyblock. This is also the best pet for mining Mythril, especially before you get something like a Skyblock. And number 3 is a Bell pet. This pet stays in the same spot as last time, even though it got a perk rework in a recent update. Initially, it had a chimney perk that reduced the cooldowns by 10%, which was useless because Crow Pet did it better. But now Chimney got changed to Cannonball, which now gives double damage to Bell. The perk rework didn't change how this pet performed in mining, but I'm guessing it is now the best pet for killing Bell. Mining wise, this pet is exceptional for mining in the magma fields because of the 3 pristine, which is a ton. And it does give 100 fortune, which is very helpful of course. It's number 3 because it's the best pet for magma field mining and can increase rates by a ton. And number 2 is a Glaci Golem. You could make the argument that this pet is number 1, but I keep it 2 because it's only useful in 2 cases. One case is that it gives extra Glaci powder, which is very useful because you need more than 20 million to max your tree. Also, the obvious use is shaft mining. At best, this pet gives 4 pristine, which is unfathomable considering how scarce pristine is. It also gives 100 fortune, 10 cold res, and 125 mining speed on top of the pristine. Overall, this pet is a must-have and gives insane buffs. At number 1, and you all saw it coming, is a Skyblock pet. I mean, this pet is insane compared to every other mining pet. It gives 250 fortune, which is so much compared to other pets. Just think about the other pets I ranked. This doesn't even come close to other pets I ranked. It gives 100 speed, which isn't that useful, but it is the best pet for gemstone powder grinding, which is a repetitive and annoying grind. However, I do think that this pet needs a change to be purely for gemstone powder grinding or general mining. It doesn't really make sense being the best in both cases, but all in all, this is obviously the best mining pet in Hypixel Skyblock. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I do have one more ranking video after this, and you guys will certainly not want to miss it. It's a huge one and it'll be a long video. I'm curious what you guys think about this new list, so please comment down below. I will read your comments and probably reply, but I will not make another mining pet ranking video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.